Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. So, today I am coming on to talk to you about productivity and organization. If you are on my email list, I sent out an email earlier promising that I would talk to you about how to be productive and how to stay organized as an entrepreneur working from home. I wanted to make sure I address this because I know that this is a hot topic right now. And I wanted to make sure that I gave you the full time entrepreneur perspective so that you can take what you need, leave what you don't, and combine it with some of the other things that you heard. Hello, to get the best experience. So, when I first started as a full time business owner, I worked from home for about 3 months before actually getting some office space. So, that's literally I built my home office when I was still side hustling. I know I needed to do that. So I'll talk to you about this. I'll talk to you about my tips, and we'll just kind of dive in and go from there. If you have questions, please feel free to enter them. But please just make sure they're about productivity and organization so that we can stay on topic. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Kashira. I am a business and brand strategist. I specialize in helping small to mid-sized businesses develop magnetic messaging, package their expertise, and create consistent revenue in their business. You can learn all about me at thepowercollective.co. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you go ahead and schedule your complimentary brand alignment session. I do still have a couple of slots left. You can click the link in my bio to do so, and it's also linked above. So I've organized my notes into like 3 categories. So I have productivity tips, organization tips, and then working from home tips. So I'm just going to go in order of, I'm actually going to start working from home. That's the shortest list. So if you are working from home for the first time and or you struggle with working from home, then there's a couple of things that I can encourage you to do from a space standpoint to optimize that. So one of the biggest things that I struggled with when I was side hustling, because when I was a side hustler, I was grinding. I was working on my business all day, like before work, during lunch, all day after work until it's time to go to sleep, on the weekends. And it was starting to be difficult to separate my side hustle from my actual life. So that's why I actually decided to build a dedicated workspace, which is what I'm streaming from now. So this office is actually what used to be like my den area, dining room area. So in my apartment, there's like this chandelier that's above me, and this is where like the dining table went. So I decided to get rid of my dining table, my chairs, my dining set. Like I literally gave it away. And I decided to build a home office, and I did a vlog on. I don't know if I ever did a vlog on my home office. I don't think so. I have to do that. But basically, I ordered a desk from Amazon. I ordered some cubby shelves from Target and just kind of set things up. Behind me is like a multicolored organizer that I use for like my cosmetics business that I got from Michael's, and my printer. But I decided to build a home office, and I have a ring light like in front of me. And so what I would challenge you to do, while I know that we're in a space where potentially building a home office right now may not make sense for you, it may not work out for you, but you don't necessarily have to do this. I would challenge you to just create a dedicated workspace in your home. It could be at the dining table, it could be a small desk in your room, it could be a seat in the living room, but you want to have a dedicated place where you go to sit to do work. I even have a in my kitchen they have a bar built around the sink. Before I had an office, I was sitting at the bar because I don't ever sit at the bar. So I was sitting at the bar to do my work. But having a designated workspace kind of starts to signal, as you build the habit, it signals to you like it's time to grind, it's time to work. When you work from the couch or from the bed, you are signaling to yourself that it's time to relax. And I know it is very easy to trick yourself to say, well, I was really productive there yesterday, so I can do it again, because I really like working in my robe in my bed. But I know that at some point I'm going to get sleepy, I'm going to want to watch Netflix, and I'm going to like fall off. So even if you're able to be productive sometimes from those spaces, you actually want to create that psychological experience of going to work. So having a dedicated workspace where you sit down and the signal switch is on, it's time to work. So again, if you aren't in a position where you can build a workspace, just have a designated place where you go to work. Another thing that actually really helps me is aromatherapy. So I do have diffusers like everywhere. I have one at home. I have one in my actual office. I do lease a private office now, if you didn't know that, which that's where I have vlogs on YouTube. I have a vlog on YouTube of my office. But I keep aromatherapy there, and I like to diffuse uplifting and energetic scents, so like lemongrass, I still have a couple of scent blends that I got on Amazon and at TJ Maxx, but more uplifting things for me, things like lavender actually makes me want to go to sleep. So I use those at night. Sometimes I'll also put a little bit of eucalyptus into my diffuser just to kind of wake me up a little bit more just because of that minty sensation. But aromatherapy actually helps me, especially if I feel like I'm in a funk or I'm not in a good space. Like aromatherapy just helps to cheer me up. So again, I know we're in a place where TJ Maxx is not available and Amazon's being kind of weird right now, but they do sell aromatherapy at Target. So that's definitely an option for you. So aromatherapy. The next thing is, background music. So some of you all I know, let me know in the comments if you're someone that can play music and be productive. Let me know. For me, it's very hit or miss when it comes to music. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But what actually works for me is actually playing like I actually linked this in my email today. Playing like a soft background music that doesn't have words. Sometimes people use jazz or classical music, but for me, what I actually really like playing in the background is spa music. I don't know why. It's just very calming. It is very easy to work towards. If you're on my email list, I sent you a link to one of my favorite YouTube channels. I also really like just like that those music videos that are called like positive vibes or positive energy, and it's just like really like upbeat music with no words, and it's also really nice imagery. But I like to play that in the background, so someone is saying that they really like jazz and things like that. And so sometimes for many of us, music with words can sometimes be a bit of a distraction, but not all the time. So you have to really, so this is one of those things where when it comes to productivity, you have to get to know yourself, right? What works for me may not work for you, but I'd rather you know that and be confident in what works for you than not. So kind of test a couple things out. If you feel like it depends on where you are or what you're doing or what's going on, or your mood, things like that. So, for example, if I am writing marketing content, sales copy, newsletters, I have to play music with no words or I'll get distracted. But if I'm doing something that's a little bit more labor intensive, but I'm not like writing anything like graphic design, website design, things like that, I can play any kind of music and I'm good to go. For me, I prefer to play music when I'm cleaning up the house anyway. So, background music is important. Okay, the other thing I want you to do when you're working from home in your designated workspace, okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, but you need a designated water cup. You need a designated water cup. I don't know about y'all, but when I was in corporate, like you had like your office cup, okay? You had a cup that you left at the office. So get your designated water cup. You need to stay hydrated when you're working from home, because some of us working from home, we can just really get bogged down in it and don't get dehydrated up in here. So keep your water cup, refill your water cup, have your coffee, have your tea, have what you need around you so that you feel like you are at work. But have a water cup and try to make it a big water cup so that way one hack I have around, yes, someone said in a coffee cup. Yes, you all know I'm a coffee snob. Like when I heard we were about to get quarantined, the first thing I did was buy 4 boxes of K-Cups. Please don't judge me, but like I can survive without most things, but I cannot, I cannot survive without coffee, okay? So here's the one hack that I like is I try to get a bigger water cup than not, because you can ensure that you're going to get your drinks in. And there's actually apps that'll remind you to drink water too. So someone said that I'm in my zone when I have my water bottle. It's my thing, and my coffee too. Like, yes, like I have, and even somebody gifted me with one of those like mug warmers that I keep my little coffee cup on. Like, yeah, or if you're a tea drinker or a smoothie drinker, whatever your thing is. So you want to have that. I don't know why that's like a psychological thing for me, but you need your coffee cup. Okay, let's talk about snacks, right? So, y'all, please do not let this quarantine turn into the freshman 20. Please, please. Listen, I'm a Cheeto kind of girl. I love me some Flamin' Hots, some little Lay's, salt and vinegar, with just, all of that. But you can fall into mindless snacking when you are working from home. You need to be careful with that. If you have children, how you ration like your kids' snacks and stuff, ration your snacks, mark them when the days you can have them, and or incorporate fruits into your snacks. Incorporate fruit. So I love to snack on like sweet fruit, also like nuts and almonds and things. If you have access to those, I know right now there's a lot going on, but if you have access to those, try to actually infuse some healthy snacks. Like one thing I really like that I keep in my refrigerator is actually those breakfast protein shakes, because while I don't have them for breakfast, So I don't really eat breakfast as much, and if I do, it's really light. I actually like that as an afternoon snack because the afternoon is typically when I get the munchies. So I will instead grab one of those, because it's a little bit sweet, but it's also filling, and then it helps me out a lot. And then if you need to like chew, you need to crunch, that's where like the nuts come in handy, or if you have any fruit, or typically when I have my shake, I'll either have an apple or a banana. Now, listen, I'm not a nutritionist, okay? I don't know. I don't have no information on any of that. I'm just telling you what works for her, okay, for me. And someone said healthy snacks helps the brain power. Yes, absolutely. And so I just want to make sure when we all come out of quarantine in 2 weeks, like, we all still, snatched, okay? So have your work snacks, pack a lunch. Okay, I know you are just walking to the living room or walking to your home office, but what you don't want to play yourself and do is tell yourself you about to cook lunch. First of all, you not. And secondly, that's going to take more time, right? It's going to take more time. And we're going to talk about productivity and time management in a second, but you want to make this easy for you. So if the night before, you can prep your lunch, or if you're a morning person, which I'm not making nothing in the morning. Like, you lucky if I boil my egg. Like, I'm not. Prep a lunch for yourself, so that way, again, you can make it easy, right? Like, I've been eating off this turkey chili for the last 2 days, y'all. My turkey chili is so delicious. Like, I'm so proud of myself. Like, oh my God, like, I feel like I've been living a whole lie before this, because before, turkey chili was just like a strong, 6 out of 10, but now it's popping. I've been killing it, but it's been like so nice because I can heat it up, 2 minutes later I can eat it, and then I can get back to what I'm doing. So, and even when I was in corporate America, I was the kind of person that was like, I need my lunch to be short because I want to leave early. In fact, part of the reason why I'm streaming so much earlier in the afternoon, because I know going live at this time is a little strange. I'm ready to clock out. Like, I'm ready to take my face off. I'm ready to lay down. I want to watch Netflix. It's storming. Like, this is signaling me to go to sleep. So I'm doing my work early so I can go to sleep. Okay. But prep your lunch. Don't play yourself and think you're about to make a whole, 5-course meal, for lunch. Now, if you got kids and a whole husband, like, I don't know, can't relate. I don't know what that life is like, but you need to just figure that part out so that you don't have to do the most during your lunch break. Healthy snacks. And then the last piece about the office part is just keeping affirmations around you. So if you bought your Shift Your Power cards, pop one of those up, tape it somewhere. If you pre-order, they on the way. But also, write some things on some Post-it notes. So one of Post-it notes says, excited clients who pay in full. And I just put it on my MacBook. Not my MacBook, but on my iMac computer. So write some Post-its to yourself. Write some affirmations. Write some I am statements on your Post-it notes. Set some goals. Write some encouragement. Those things do help. Put it in your little workspace area, and that's that. Let me know if you have any questions about that in the comments. So I'm going to transition. If you're just coming in, I'm talking about productivity, organization, and all of that, my habits and things as a business owner. And then if you missed it, I said I had 3 categories of topics. So we already covered the whole work from home environment piece. And then I'm going to cover productivity. And then lastly, organization. So for productivity, yes, they did ship. You should have got 2 emails yesterday saying your affirmation cards have shipped, and I dropped them off at the post office already. So if you did not see it in your email, check your spam, check your junk. If you still don't see it, just shoot me an email, okay? All right, so productivity. So when it comes to actually now being productive during the day so that you're not wasting your own time, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do, this is very, very simple. I need you to make a list. I'm all about lists. Make a list. I have this notebook that I've had for forever, and I just make a list in here. Sometimes I put multiple lists on a page. You do not need the prettiest notebook and the fanciest app. And I'm not a huge technology person when it comes to like productivity, which I have some apps for you that I'm going to give you for organization, but for productivity, it just doesn't really resonate with me. I'm a paper and pen kind of girl. So you can totally take these ideas and apply it to apps. But for me, paper and pen. So when I'm writing my to-do list, I prefer to write down, like, I prefer to do like good, better, best, because sometimes we'll write a to-do list with 27 things on it, knowing good and well we're not going to get all of those things done. So with mine, I kind of do like a red, like a good, better, best, or a red, yellow, green. So I try to organize my to-do list with what absolutely has to get done today, absolutely no excuses. And then what am I, it would be amazing to get this done, but if I don't, I'm not going to die. And then, the green, which is, girl, you're being a little ambitious by saying you're about to go ahead and write 27 pages of copy, but you can go ahead and write it down anyway, right? And at some point, that green is going to turn into yellow, and that yellow is going to turn into red. So I like to do that so that way, if I don't get through all 27 items, I actually feel really good about the day. Now, most productivity people will tell you, just narrow it to 3 or narrow it to 5. And I'm an executioner. I get stuff done. Like, there's not going to be a day in life where I'm only doing 2 or 3 things. I'm pretty good with like knocking stuff out. Maybe it's because of my systems. I don't know. But for me, I don't mind getting it all out and just organizing it by priority, because what has happened for me now that I'm super busy is that sometimes I'll forget. I'll forget something. So if it's on my mind when I'm writing my list, I still write it down anyway, but I use my red, yellow, green system. I highly encourage you to make a list. Now, you can make your list by day, or you can make your list by the week. Either one works. I would say if you are new to this game, test out both strategies and see what works best for you. Okay? So once you do that, my next tip is going to be for people who are always in their email. Set a designated time to actually check email. It is very difficult. I am always in email. I know I'm working on it, but I found that by designating time to check email, and it can be as many times as you want it to be, that's up to you. But by designating time, you're less likely to multitask. So what that's going to mean is, if you have desktop notifications for email, you may want to hide those, put them on do not disturb. So that way you don't multitask. Because one thing I have on my list is like, don't multitask. That is a lie. Multitasking basically just gets you off of what you should be doing onto the next thing, which gets you onto the next thing, and then nothing ever really gets done. So do your best to stay focused on what you're actually working on. And email is like that number one distractor that gets you off of what you are supposed to be doing. So set designated time for email, voicemail, like whatever your thing is, set time for that. I even have designated time to check Facebook. So if you're in my group, I posted like my schedule like a week ago, and like there's a designated time period where I'm checking my Facebook group, I'm checking my client group, I'm checking DMs. Like I typically do that stuff in the morning just to make sure that I catch everything, because what I can't do, even though I make a lot of money through social media, I don't have time to sit on social media all day, because if I'm on social media all day, that means I'm not servicing clients. Like, that's literally what that means. I'm just not servicing nobody. I don't have no calls. I'm not sending no emails. I'm not trying to make no money. Like, I don't have time for that. So set designated times for social media, okay? So that's the next thing. And of course, let me know if you have questions. Y'all are a little quiet. So I don't know if that means you bored or if that means you're taking notes. So you need to let me know. Give me an amen, prayer emoji, a gif or something. But let a sister know that you're still here. And by the way, share this broadcast out wherever you're watching it. So moving on, I talked about multitasking already. Take breaks. Okay. Fellow hustlers, grinders, executioners, okay? Beasts at this game. You have to take breaks. If you don't, at some point you will burn out. It may not happen on day 1 or day 2, but at some point you will burn out. Take a break, especially since we are all in self-quarantine right now. You need to get up and walk around, honey. Walk around your house, walk around your yard, your parking lot. Like for me, I live in an apartment complex, so I can walk around the parking lot basically. Walk around the block, get up, stretch, do some yoga, go to the bathroom, get some water, but like do some. Don't just sit here all day. You need to get up, take breaks. So typically, I try to build in my Acuity scheduling. When people book calls with me, I build in a 15-minute buffer in between calls so that I'm not just sitting here back to back to back to back on calls. And that just gives me time to snack, walk around, send a text, call my mama real quick. Like whatever I need to do, it gives me time to do it. Okay, so y'all are here. You're talking back with me. Okay, thank you. Because I'm like, y'all just sitting here looking at me like nobody's saying nothing. But thank you very much. So take breaks. So one thing I read that was recommended was taking like a 10-minute break at the end of each hour. Just kind of, I always say when it comes to best practices, I always say test and learn and see what works best for you. But I would definitely avoid just working for blocks of time direct with no breaks. Okay. So take breaks. Okay, set designated days for meetings if you can. So if you're working a 9 to 5, unless you're like in management, you might not have the ability to say, I don't take meetings on these days. But if you do, and or you're a full-time business owner like me, have designated days for meetings. So typically Tuesdays and Wednesdays are my client days, unless I'm in the middle of a launch. If I'm in the middle of the launch, I'm typically taking calls like Tuesday through Thursday for the most part. But I have designated days for phone calls because phone calls can take up a lot of time and a lot of energy, right? Like typically after a full day of coaching or a full day of sales calls, I really don't have much capacity for anything else. So I try to get all of those done versus kind of breaking it up. So have designated days for calls and meetings if you can. You might even have a designated day for following up on your pitches that you're sending out if you're pitching local businesses or corporations or schools. You have a designated day for networking if you do that virtually. So I recommend doing that just for energy management purposes. And then the next thing with productivity is I recommend that you take the batch creation approach, which is what I do all the time. So typically I try to not only work on one thing at a time, but I try to produce multiples of that one thing. So for example, if I'm having designated write today's newsletter time, then I want to not just write today's newsletter, but I want to write my next 3 to 4 or more newsletters that I can get done in a designated time. So batch creation really allows you to get more done while you're already focused and or feeling creative or whatever mood you need to be in to get that work done. You're already in that space. So kind of batch tackling or batch creating your task. So an example of that, not only when it comes to newsletters, I do this when it comes to writing sales copy, writing social media captions. I don't just sit and do one at a time. I don't do stuff day by day. I'm typically creating a couple of weeks worth of content at a time. So when I launched my free ebook, the 21 Steps Guide, I already had the next 5 freebies for y'all already done when that one was done, when I sent it to the designer. So that's another example. I'm already trying to set myself up so I don't have to do this again for a while. So think about some of the tasks that you need to do reoccurring, and try to get those done in a batch creation space, because while it's going to be consuming on the front end, you're going to thank yourself in the long run when you don't have to write content again for another month, right? And even when it came to my live streams, I wrote 3 weeks worth of live stream content in one sitting. And it took a minute, but I did. And so that meant writing the titles of the live streams, writing all my talking points, all of my examples, and my calls to action, and putting out my tracking sheet all in one time, and also deciding when I was going to do those live streams. So productivity. So any questions on productivity, let me know in the comments. Okay, so then the next piece is organization. Excuse me. So when it comes to organization, this is where I have tools and apps for you. So the first thing I use for organization is Google Drive. There is a lot of Google in this, and I'm plugging them because I was using them before I was associated with Google. But Google Drive is your friend, and I don't think enough people are using it to its fullest extent. So in my Google Drive, I have a lot of folders. And so I organize folders in broad categories like administrative, marketing, clients, things like that. And as you go deeper into those folders, that's where you're going to find different layers. So in my marketing folder, you'll find a folder for every campaign I've ever done. And in the campaign folder, you're going to find sales page copy, email copy, social media copy, imagery, stats, and analytics, right? In my administrative folder, there's a couple different folders. So there's a finances folder, there's a data folder, there's a team folder that actually stores my job postings that I've done, resumes I've received, a couple different things are in there. But basically, leverage Google Drive. Don't just make it a dump where all your stuff is. You don't even know what's in there or where it's at. actually leverage the tools and organize it that you can easily find stuff. And the search feature in Google Drive is really nice because not only will you type in there, will it search the names of files, but it'll also search the content. So if you're looking for certain words within PDFs or docs, it will actually search within those documents to pull those up. So that's really, really helpful. The next Google tool that I use a lot is Google Sheets. Google Sheets is what I use for almost everything. I use Google Sheets for my analytics dashboard to track my money, to track my revenue and my expenses. I use it to track I use it to make my content calendars. I use it to save. So I have a Google Sheet document that lists every email I've ever sent with the subject line, and it has a link to the actual copy, when it went out, what sequence was it a part of. I use Google Sheets for everything, and it's completely free. So I encourage you to use Google Sheets. And also I use it for project plans. So that's like a major thing. If you're doing like a major project, which typically a major project is what, a launch, a relaunch, a rebrand, outsourcing, team building, documenting SOPs, Google Sheets is going to be what you want to use for that. Okay, so getting out of the Google family, I also use Trello a ton. Now, here's what Trello. I have a whole video on how I use Trello. It is a part of the Solopreneur Success Challenge, which is free. So if you are on Facebook and Periscope and LinkedIn, you're going to need to go to my website, thepowercollective.co. Click on resources, so thepowercollective.co/resources, and you'll see freebies. And under freebies, you'll see Solopreneur Success Challenge. If you're on Insta, you can just click the link in my bio and then click the button that says free resources. So Solopreneur Success Challenge is a 3-day challenge, and it's all about systems and organization, right? So there's a video that shows you how I use Trello. So if you want a deeper dive, watch that. But for the purposes of today, I use Trello to manage my team and to document my processes. So I have 3 people that report to me, and yes, we are virtual and remote. There is one person that's in Pittsburgh with me, but she at home. We are remote. Everybody is safe. Everybody's working from home, and everybody's still being paid. So I use it to document their projects. So they all have their own. We have like a current projects dashboard so we can see what everybody's working on. And that's where I put their projects and their reoccurring tasks. Outside of that dashboard, I have a dashboard for marketing where I store my, not marketing campaigns, but I store my brand kits. So like my brand colors, my logos, my fonts, my patterns, color codes. So I actually use a Trello board and a Google Drive folder. So I use both, but I have it in Trello just for ease for my designer and anybody else that I hire to help with marketing stuff. Then I have a board for SOPs. I used to have a board for like every service I had, but now I've scaled back. I don't have that many services. So when you watch that training, them services that was listed, like I don't even have that anymore. I have like 2 things that I sell right now that are services. So I've scaled back and just made it like one long dashboard. And let me tell you, when I hired my very first team member last year, I didn't have none of this. I was building it as I went, and I built it with her. But now that I had to replace my admin and get a new one, having those Trello boards, Lord Jesus, it saves my whole life because it was so easy to get my new admin up to speed. And if she ever has questions about how to do stuff, it's documented step by step in Trello, so she knows how to do it the way that I want it to be done. So Trello is great for managing people, managing projects, documenting processes. You can use it for a number of different things, but I'm just saying for me, I've tried to use it for myself to document like what I'm working on, but it just seems like an extra work stream when I can just write it down. But I use it a lot for my team, and I also use it. I use it to manage my clients too. So I used to use Asana for my clients, but I decided to just eliminate that because it was just unnecessary to have all those systems. And I have boards for my clients, and so it's not forever. My clients are typically with me for as short as 30 days and as long as, at this point in life, my longest program is only 90 days for private. So they get a Trello dashboard where I document their homework. So for my one-on-one clients, they actually get, looks like my Instagram went out. Hold on, Facebook. Sorry, y'all. I don't know if it's going to come back. Okay, there it is. So for my one-on-one clients, they get accountability assignments, so that way they don't get lost in between calls. They know exactly what they should be working on, and they can communicate with me through Trello. So I use Trello to document their homework. So I know some people use like Airtable, others use Asana. I'm going to defer to and ClickUp. People use ClickUp as well. I'm going to defer to you to research all these tools and figure out which one you like. So I also use for organization Dubsado. I know y'all hear about Dubsado a lot. If you go to thepowercollective.co/tools, you will see every tool that I use in my business. I use Dubsado for managing client for not managing, but organizing client information, because you can have project files and you can send contracts, you can send invoices, you can send emails, and it documents it all in one dashboard for both you and the client to see. So it's a really good organization tool for managing, like if you're a freelancer or a consultant, a coach, or a service provider, Dubsado is a great tool for you. I can also use it to manage leads. And it's also like a really good like CRM. So I like it to be able to go in there and see how many clients do I have at one time. I can see when those clients are rolling out, so I need to start recruiting. I can see, what I'm owed in invoicing. I can see all my signed contracts, because you can electronically sign in Dubsado. And I also recently built out 2 new forms in Dubsado. So I built out a form for my speaking engagement inquiries, which you can see that at kashira.com/speaking. Please don't fill it out unless you're trying to book me. But I built out a form there, so that way I can easily manage with somebody. Because basically what happens is if somebody fills out a form that you made in Dubsado, you can embed the form into your website. So when somebody fills it out, it makes a project file for them. So if you end up working with that person, you can automatically send them a contract and an invoice and an email already. You don't have to manually copy and paste their name and email and number. Like, everything is already there. So that's why that one is really, really good. And then Kartra. So I use Kartra for almost everything. Kartra is a massive tool. And let me clarify and tell you that it's not cheap. So I don't want you to, when you see the price tag, get sticker shock. But Kartra does everything. Kartra does course hosting, email marketing, affiliates, payment plans, sales pages, tripwires, down sales, up sales, a little bit of everything. What I love about Kartra is that when I go into a person's file, so any of you that are on my email list, if I pull you up, I can see when you subscribe to me, how many of my freebies you've downloaded. I can see what courses of mine you've bought. I can see what emails of mine you've opened and didn't open, what you clicked on and what you didn't click on, how long you've been in the system. And I can also see at what point in life did you decide to work with me or buy from me, and it'll tell me basically the value of an email. So if I send an email out, hypothetically, right? If I send an email out and I'm selling my membership group, which is like $37 a month, it'll be like, oh, this email was worth $500 because this amount of people bought the membership group. And because you have to check out through Kartra, is able to easily do that, which a lot of email tools will do that, but there's like more setup you have to do. But because Kartra does email and it'll sell products, it'll sell courses, it'll do payment plans, you can see all of that in there. So it's a really great CRM as well, in addition to Dubsado, because it'll just show you the life cycle of your customers and clients, and also people who have just been with you but have never bought, if you're looking to understand that information. So Kartra is awesome as well. And then I'm trying to think, was there anything else? Because I can't read what this last thing says. My handwriting is so bad, y'all. Oh, so when it comes to like random creative ideas that I get, I also like to use a journal or Post-it notes to store those. I have like a little wall where I document ideas and things, because it doesn't make sense to execute everything right away. I actually think that like that can be kind of bad at times if you're just always just kind of going on a whim. Like, good, some ideas make sense, but others just don't. So I like to store things for when they do make sense for me. So that's my productivity and organization tips. I have a couple more on my podcast, the Bombshell Diaries. I know I have a time management episode from when I was working full time. If you are a full-time employee, if you want to know what my life was like when I was working full time, the time management for busy bombshells episode will help you. And then I have an episode on managing like multiple brands. That's more recent, that'll talk to you about my time management more now. Someone asks, is Squarespace more to house your business info and Kartra handles everything else? basically. So Squarespace is like a holder for me. Like it's just more of a, I just like how it looks, which is why I still use it. But it's definitely a place where I just put like my business information, my services information. But when it actually comes to you taking action, you're either going to be taking action through Dubsado or Kartra. So that's how my business is set up. So you can use Kartra as a website tool. Like you can use it to be a website. You can actually use it to connect the domain. You can build multiple pages. But for me, the reason why I don't do that is I can't get it to look how I want it to look. Like I like how the sales pages look and how the triple cards look, but when it comes to the actual website, I don't like how it looks. And then I feel like it's a little clunky. You have to do a lot. You have to do a whole lot to build a full website through Kartra, and I just don't have that kind of time. So I just stick with Squarespace. I don't have any issue with it. And also, Squarespace gives me Acuity scheduling for free because I signed up for Squarespace a long time ago, and I really like Acuity scheduling, and I like Acuity better than Dubsado's appointment scheduling tool. Oh, I didn't mention Acuity, so I use Acuity for appointments. So Acuity and Dubsado are actually synced up for me, but I don't like Dubsado's call booking tool. Maybe I will in the future, but right now I'm just not a fan of the user experience. But I use Acuity scheduling for appointments. So people who are booking consultations with me, brand alignment sessions, but you need to book yours if you didn't book it yet, brand alignment sessions, discovery calls, client calls, all of those are booked through Acuity scheduling. And I've already set up the confirmation emails. I customize those. They get their Zoom link, which I'm actually going to get ready to move away from Zoom pretty soon. I've actually set a reminder that I have until April 1st to find my new conferencing system. And nothing's wrong with Zoom, but I'm always conscious of the user experience, and I think that people who've never used Zoom before, it can be kind of clunky, especially on mobile when you have to get the app. So I'm getting away from that. But anyway, Zoom is what I use for video conferencing for the time being. So when it comes to social media scheduling, I use a tool called Social Bee, which is also linked on my tools page. Everything is automated except my Instagram. I prefer to post direct to my feed just because I feel like, I don't know, this might be a bias, but I feel like I get more engagement when I post direct to feed versus doing scheduled. So yeah. So any other questions? Was this helpful? Let me know. Put an emoji or something in the comments if this was helpful for you. Let me know. If I think of anything else, because I am a little tired. If I think of anything else, I will post it on my Instagram stories. So make sure people who aren't watching on Instagram, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Kashira, and I will post on my stories if I think of any other tips. But I feel like I gave y'all everything. One thing I always say about time management and productivity is that there is no magic wand for this. Yes, there are 1,000,001 planners and 1,000,001 notebooks and 1,000,001 apps. But if you lack the discipline, none of this will work anyway. So I always take the simplest approach, number one. But number two, I always say this to you all when it comes to when it comes to productivity tips and when it comes to like softwares and tools, I always tell you to research and experiment and find what works for you. For example, just because I love Dubsado does not mean you are going to love Dubsado. You might want to use HoneyBook or some other kind of tool. Just because I use Acuity doesn't mean that you will. You might want to use Calendly. There is no, like, for the most part, there's no like right or wrong. It's what works for you, what's most efficient for you, and what's going to help you get the job done, be productive both at home and when we can go back outside again. And it's going to help you be most effective and show up as your best self for your clients. So with that, I'm going to go and have dinner. I will talk to you all in the next session. Please have a good night and make sure you all are staying safe and wash your hands. Okay? Alrighty. Bye.